Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Fallen London. In this episode we are going to be having a look at June's exceptional story, The Garden Embassy. But before I go into the new story, I'd like to remind people that they can play these for themselves if they sign up for the Exceptional Friendship, which is something that is definitely worth doing. Not only does it give you access to these stories every month, it lets you have twice as many actions, access to the House of Chimes, and a bigger opportunity deck, this thing right here, so you get to experience more of Fallen London all at the same time. This isn't a paid for promotion or anything, it's just something that I think I needed to say because after all these are paid for things, and I thoroughly encourage people to experience them for themselves before watching an idiot like me play them on the internet. But without further ado, we shall get into the new exceptional story, The Garden Embassy. A squawk from below interrupts your morning stroll. A bird, waterlogged and ruffled, it struggles to right itself from where it has fallen into a grim puddle of spilt ale on the side of the street. It resembles a raven, but for its beak, which is hooked at the tip, and its eyes, which are vivid gold. Its aggrieved burbling is more guttural than that of usual London raven. It glares up at you, daring you to pity it. We have three options. We can either kick it, it might make a funny noise, oh that's horrible, feed it, the poor thing is half starved, its feathers are damp and ragged, a few scraps from a nearby bakery will do it the world of good. Or we can take it home and nurse it. It is injured and in distress. Your attentions may bring it back to good health. I'm gonna do this one because that picture right there is amazing. So we're gonna take it home and nurse it. It takes a few days of feeding crumbs to the bird, but it begins to sing small warblings. It lingers nearby after you release it. Your morning scents are often ushered in with those same melodious calls. An urchin has a theory about the bird she feels compelled to share with you. From that new embassy they're setting up in Vale Garden. They've got flowers and everything. It ain't natural. They will visit the season of bargains. A nervous lawyer is accosting travellers outside the Singing Mandrake. A nervous lawyer is accosting travellers outside the Singing Mandrake. She has reams of paper in her arms and a heavy purse on her hip. No, madam, I'm not selling you anything. I'm buying, she says fruitlessly to another passerby hurrying away. Her eyes are red. Her hands shake. She musters up an unconvincing smile and a desperate plea every time someone walks by. A sign at her feet reads, "Bargains. Tell me about them. Please. Urgent." Let's unlock it first. And now we'll consult the nervous lawyer. She's paying for information on bargains. She's evidently not found what she's looking for, but perhaps she's picked up something interesting all the same. Though you do not have the information she needs, the nervous lawyer is happy to speak with you. It's an excuse for a break from haranguing passers-by. "I've quite ruined my career," she confesses, "but if I can still be useful." She's heard about an infernal contract gone bad. The soul, she says, was in such a sorry state that the devil refused to take it, but the gentleman in question had already signed it away. If hell would not accept it, then he was in breach of hellish law. The brass embassy was not sympathetic. "It's said," she whispers, "that you can find that man behind hell's walls, still searching for a buyer." We gained a dubious testimony. An unscrupulous landlord is waiting to speak to the nervous lawyer. He's trying to win a dispute with the Metropolitan Board. He tells anyone who'll listen. It's not a question of how many bedrooms a property has, it's a question of how many beds you can get into a room. Valid point, I suppose. So, an elaborate invitation. A heavy, cream-coloured envelope arrives at your lodgings. Despite the frenzy of curlicues, it is clearly addressed to you. There can be no mistake. Beneath your name, the words, "You are invited." The envelope is sealed with aromatic beeswax. The invitation is even more lavish than the envelope. The paper is as thick as card. You are invited to the grand opening of the Garden Embassy. The embassy will represent the interests of a number of Her Enduring Majesty's colonies. A ball is to be held to celebrate the occasion. The invitation is signed by the decorated ambassador herself. Hand-signed invitation? Blimey. So, we need to prepare for the ball, of course. You will need a new outfit for the occasion. To wear something one has already been seen in would be unthinkable. You are not currently wearing anything appropriate for the ball. Oh no. We can answer the door. Your preparations are interrupted by a sharp knock. Or we can go for a stroll. There is no need to rush to the ball. After all, it's dreadfully unfashionable to arrive before the hosts are ready. We'll go with the top one. Because that man's face scares me, so I think we'll interact with this lovely looking fellow. Oh, that's not what he looked like. A wispy-haired valet announces the presence of his employer, who requests to visit you in your delightful home. A gleaming carriage awaits on the street. An enigmatic-looking gentleman lolls idly against the window. Who is this man? The valet could stand to tell you a little more about his employer. My employer is a poet, curator, and gentleman of the highest pedigree, says the valet. He will disclose his business to you at his discretion. I assure you he poses you no risk. For a moment, the valet looks pained, beyond being exposed to his verses. Guess that depends how much you like poetry. But I suppose we will allow him into our home. The sooner you know what he wants, the sooner you can be rid of him. The valet nods curtly, turns back to the carriage and opens the door for the gentleman in the fine hat. The valet introduces him as my employer, a gentleman and a poet. Once inside, the poet slumps upon your softest furniture, pulling his hat down over his face. Your name comes to me from a mutual friend, he mumbles. They suggested we ought to become acquainted before a certain upcoming event. The poet has draped himself over some of the softer furniture in your lodgings. He lifts his hat to peer out at you, but shades his eyes from the light of your lamps. Hey, hang a minute, who exactly is he? What sort of man wears both a necktie and a bow tie? It's not right. Not right at all. He waves his little notebook in the air. I'm a poet, obviously, though not nearly popular enough, of course. The friends I do have are possessed of both great taste and influence. We run exhibitions, publish reviews, and spread the work of London's finest to the surface. Indeed, our connections and administrations keep many of the city's finest creatives busy and comfortable, or at least housed and fed. So what exactly does he want, and why is he in my house? You've been invited to a party, an official affair, diplomats everywhere. Very dull. My friends and I are worried that the host might acquire the wrong impression. We cannot allow London to be seen as stained. Stayed? Never seen that word before. He waves his hand as though conducting. The neath is deep, dark and marvellous. The world must know the beauty of what we have become down here in the night. And so, I'm ensuring other guests will be wearing the very latest fashions. Have you pauldrons for your coat? Or at least, have you consulted a good tailor? I'm afraid not. I guess we shall return to our preparations. He seems to have said all that he intended to. The valet hauls his master from the sofa and leads him out the door. "Little Pip," Poet waves a listless goodbye. I guess. What happens if we go for a stroll then? Will we meet this fellow? No need to rush. Outside Caligula's coffee house, a pair of uniformed sailors stopped you. "Our friend would like a word," they say, gesturing to the window. From inside, a dark-haired figure in an unbuttoned military jacket raises a coffee mug to you. We can agree to meet the gregarious engineer. "They appreciate that you're almost certainly busy," says one of the sailors, "but they promise it'll only take a moment of your time." The engineer summons a waiter to take your order. Only when you have your own beverage do they begin. My apologies for the interruption. The coffee house is filled with the scent of roasted beans and filled with the cacophony of conversation that makes it impossible to pick out what any one person is saying. The engineer smiles as they focus on their beverage, at ease amongst the noise. But who exactly is this man? They're wearing an Admiralty uniform, but without any displayed rank. "I am a person of no particular importance. I do, however, possess certain understandings regarding the upkeep of our beloved empire." They take a moment to savour their coffee. "I'm certainly concerned with the upholding of a long-held understanding regarding London's status vis-a-vis her more unruly offspring. That is to say, the colonies. So, what does he want with me? I understand that you've been invited to a certain social occasion. It's a matter of importance that those at this event communicate a certain dignity. Her Majesty will not be attending, so we must compensate for the gravitas her presence would otherwise bring. I know a gentleman who knows a gentleman who could administer to your wardrobe. They slip you a trade card of a tailor. I have a Spartan trade card. Wonderful. Well, I guess we have to return to our lodgings. The engineer raises their mug as you leave. I'm sure we'll see each other soon. Not ominous at all. Okay, so we have a choice now. We can either go to the tailor or we can go hunt for a fashionable opportunity. I'm thinking, let's start the top, work out easy. Let's go to a tailor. You show the card around, but your usual contacts haven't heard of him. A young baronet, however, dressed in the sharpest of plain black suits, overhears your mention of him. He suggests that you might be interested in a place of business near Ladybones Road. Following his directions leads you to an unassuming door with an immaculately polished brass nameplate. Inside, a short man is filling in a ledger behind a polished countertop. He assesses you briefly and inclines his head. You are permitted. The austere tailor's shop is small and neat. Fabric samples are arranged in squares on one wall. A fitting station is contained on raised dais. A sign above the counter reads "No lace, no frills, no compromises." Let's ask him about that rather interesting sign. When I was young, the adults used to make me wear all sorts of horrors, says the tailor. Every day was lace and ribbons and ruffles, trying to make me look pretty. Now I'm a grown man. I understand fashion. Clean lines, bold colours, elegance in design. He does not ask your opinion. Sounds like a good tailor. I've no interest in making clothes for those who don't know how to wear them. You discuss your need for an outfit for the ball. Nothing fancy, mind, something straight and to the point. You don't want to be embarrassed by unnecessary baubles or ruffs. The tailor starts nodding along as you speak, his eyes sparkling. Okay, so now we get to choose the fabrics for the outfit. The tailor has agreed to fit you. He will judge your fabric choices. You pick a selection of fabrics from the wall and present them to the tailor. Heavy, smooth silks, crisp linens, and soft wools. You select deep colours to frame more forceful hues. He pores over them like an oracle reading cards. Eventually, he nods to himself. This will work. But now, a bold fitting. He knows what he's going to do with you. He whips out his tape and proceeds to measure every inch of you. He takes extensive notes and mutters brusquely. Then he points to a chair. Sit. Wait. Your minutes while away like hours. The sounds of industry and frantic activity resound from the next room. Eventually the tailor returns bearing your clothes. The lines are clean and sharp, the colours assertive. You change into the outfit. Feels a little tight in places, but in the mirror, the cut is perfect. I'm guessing the fashionable opportunity would have been a different kind of outfit, whereas I've gone for a more traditional suit. We have a look. The youngest and wealthiest of the city's elite are all adorned with moon pearl buttons. The clothes they are attached to are eclectic and fitted with as much embellishment as possible. You follow a pair of moon pearl youths whose tailoring looks in need of taking in. They convene outside a dilapidated shopfront. The fashionable opportunity. While you watch, a youth emerges clutching a feather boa like a prize. They rest, cheer, gathering around him to cluck over his clothing. Is this going to overwrite the previous one? I don't know, but either way. The fashionable opportunity is a small establishment filled to the brim with rows upon rows of reclaimed, recycled and abandoned clothes. It smells of mothballs and antiseptic. There are no windows. A figure wrapped in dozens of robes, shawls, scarves and scraps of finest silks approaches. It makes a clinging sound as it moves, as if many pieces of heavy jewellery rattle beneath the robes. It introduces itself as Mistress Gladrags, proprietor. Okay, let's have a word with her then. The fashionable opportunity is not apparently a shop, but a hiding place for charity. That is all the explanation you are offered. But the Mistress Gladrags turns abruptly to the shelves and plucks garments from them. Each item is held up to you before being discarded with tuts. The rows of clothes racks seem to go on forever. Scuffed elbowed jackets, sweat-stained shirts and faded fashions of yesteryear crowd you from all angles. This sounds like my idea of hell, I'm just letting you know this. I'm going into this and I'm like, oh god. You wander through the forest of clothes, picking garments as they catch your eye. After some time, you spot rooms set aside for trying on the clothes. There, by the corner, you make a beeline for the changing rooms before you become irreparably lost in the forest of coats. Okay, so our next chance is to try things on. You've got at least a full set of clothes in hand. What do they look like together? You collect your assembled garments and try them on in the changing rooms. When you catch sight of your reflection, you are pleasantly surprised. The outfit shapes you into a figure out of romance, cloaked and mysterious. It's daring, but perhaps that's what the evening requires. Okay, so we can either attempt to pay. Every time you bring out your money, Mistress Gladrags is suddenly busy or absent. Or we can accept her generosity. I am not that kind of man, so let's give her some money. It takes some of your more underhanded persuasion techniques, but eventually Mistress Gladrags relents. Gladrags hisses like an upset cat as it accepts your coin, and then turns away to sulk until you leave. We have an exquisite outfit. That does not look like an exquisite outfit. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go into the assertive outfit, not the somehow or the bold outfit. Take some work to tighten all the straps. The garlands haul you into an upright posture, chest pushed out, shoulders back. A proper bearing of confidence. Kind of like, look at that. Look at, what is that? I can't wear that. Gotta be prim, gotta be proper, gotta be British, yes. So, we can attend the opening of the garden embassy. You are appropriately attired and ready to mingle. You set out into the night and make your way to Vale Garden. The address is an old manor house that has since been converted into the garden embassy. The bright flags of the colonies have been hung on the imposing stone walls. Garden beds have been planted with imported flowers already wilting from the lack of sunlight. Inside, an attendant checks invitations in the cloakroom. When she inspects your invitation, the attendant's eyebrows rise dramatically. Signed by the ambassador herself. Do let any of the staff know if there's anything you need, my lady. Welcome to the garden embassy. The opening of the garden embassy is being marked by an extravagant ball. The throngs filling the building are an eclectic mix of diplomats, aristocrats, and bohemians, mingling, hobnobbing, and dancing. Members of the Admiralty look over to you smiling. The bohemians glance occasionally at your outfit and then give you the cold shoulder. Spicy floral scents waft in through a wide marble hallway that leads to the eponymous gardens. There's a lot of things here. Let's explore the embassy. There must be more to do here than merely converse. While others are occupied with tattle and gossip, you can explore the building and the entertainments the ball offers. Oh, let's visit the garden. It is the garden embassy, after all. The smells of spice and nectar waft in from the garden through the wide open doors. Oh my god, there's going to be loads of things to do here. The gardens are filled with harsh-looking exotic plants, the likes of which you've only seen in botany textbooks. They're hardy specimens, all woody-stemmed and sharp-leaved. But even so, they are beginning to yellow in the dark of the neath. We have a few options here. We can explore the gardens. There's so many plants imported from the surface. None will last long without sunlight. Fuzzy flowers like knobbly red hands reach up to you from low shrubs bristling with spikes. Even as you look, they droop a little more. So we can either bribe a gardener for their clothes, or we can clonk them over the back of the head and steal them. But let's bribe the gardener, because the gardens are quiet and no one would notice a little light physical assault. Still, not really my style, so we'll bribe the gardener for their clothes. The gardeners are happy to make conversation. Maybe they'd appreciate a drink, so we're going to give them a bottle of strangling willow absinthe. Why am I walking around with a bottle of absinthe in my back pocket? Maybe it was bring your own booze. You mention your admiration for the practicality of the gardener's outfit and the bottle of absinthe you just happened to have with you. Despite your clarity, they seem confused. You want my clothes? Or booze? The decision takes them 2 samples of the bottle. I'm keeping me trousers though. When they emerge from a hedge shirtless, they have already made a large dent in the bottle's content. Oh, brilliant. So now we can pick some flowers. There are only a few flowers here. The ones you find are unlike any you've seen. Not normally a fan of picking flowers, but yeah. The plants are spiky and dry. The bushes and trees have pointed leathery leaves. The flowers are either fine and feathery or thick and waxy. One plant in particular stands out. It has a crown of blood-red petals with a glossy black eye sitting in the centre. Its vine runs along the ground towards the mansion, desperately seeking light. You pluck one of the blooms and hold it to the light. It resembles the crushed wings of a red moth, adorned with mournful, jet-black eyes. Wonder what we use that for. Let's return to the ball. You head back inside to the cool hallways of the embassy, leaving the spicy floral air of the garden behind you. Apparently we can duck into the cloakroom. Hats and coats are left with the butler at the door. You return to the entrance of the embassy and the cloakroom. The distracted attendant looks up from a guestbook. Can I help you, my lady? Ooh. The cloakroom is staffed by a single attendant in charge of managing all accoutrements and attire inappropriate for wearing at the ball. She is mostly occupied with her ledger. Behind her are rows of racks carrying an abundance of gaudy coats, elaborate hats, and vibrant scarves. There's a few things we could talk about here. We need to keep this in mind for a later point. Let's have a quick poke around the back. The doors to the kitchen swing open tantalizingly. You duck through the door into the hallway between the ballroom and the kitchens. The sound of clattering plates drowns out the music. Servants bustle around the glasses and canapes. Others hurry out onto the floor to clean up whatever mess has most recently been made by the guests. A few idle in the hall, taking a moment to trade jokes or exasperated complaints about the guests. You can hide in the broom cupboard. No one seems to be using it. Claustrophobia. You sneak into the supply closet. It is cramped and dark, reeks of mould and detergent. It is dark, full of supplies. It is difficult to avoid getting smudges of dust on the bright colours of your bold outfit. I brought the exquisite outfit with me. Okay, let's eavesdrop. What do the staff talk about when they think no one is listening? The Garden Embassy workers discuss sporting rivalries between their nation and others. When that topic runs out of steam, they gossip about other members of the ambassadorial service. Should be expected. Let's search through the supplies here. There's just enough light for a good rummage. You pass on the brooms and detergents, but surely you can put a tin of brass polish to use. What could I possibly need brass polish for? But here we can change into the servant's uniform or the exquisite outfit, so we're going to have to keep that in mind for a future. You step back into the service hallway. The staff make a point of not noticing. Let's return to the mall. Other matters require your attention. And I think I'm going to have to end the episode here, but thank you very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, let me know what you think. Your comments are greatly appreciated, and don't forget, if you want to play this, do it yourself. It's so much more fun to explore this. But as always, I'll see you next time.